Hi, my name's Megan. I'm going to be talking about job satisfaction in the workplace. So, just defining job satisfaction, it's described as the different feelings a person has towards their job, and the feelings can be positive or negative, leading to the development of being satisfied or unsatisfied with their. So, for my real life example, um, I got my first job at Dick's Sporting Goods, and as it being a first job, I was very timid at first, and I didn't know what to do, and my managers didn't help me very much. So I started off like very unsatisfied. I didn't like it. I always was waiting to go home, and I dreaded going to work. They worked me too many hours and never really told me what was expected of me. So while I was there, I just felt like I was wasting my time. And I basically learned as I went along rather than being told beforehand and like learning as I go along, but with some guidance as well. I basically felt lost, and my managers just didn't help me. I didn't feel like I was being successful, and I was very unsatisfied. But as I went along, of course, I got the hang of it, and I've been there for a year now, and I'm very comfortable and I'm very satisfied. I made friends with my coworkers, which I think has a big, has a lot to do with the satisfaction. I talked to my managers, I told them what was needed for me to succeed, and I think that really helped out as well. I started off very dissatisfied, but with time, I became more and more satisfied, and I received a lot more help as I went along. So, the textbook states that there are many different aspects that are taken into consideration to measure job satisfaction or dissatisfaction thereof. One approach is the facet approach, which views job satisfaction as individual elements such as pay, working conditions, and relationships with fellow employees or supervisors. And a different approach would be the global approach, which views one's overall job satisfaction, taking all aspects and being asked to use an overall yes or no response, so it's very upfront. But there are many other aspects to keep in mind for satisfaction, such as pre-employment expectations, an individual's personality traits, and the relationship between the job and the individual. Some ways to measure job satisfaction amongst employees are self-reports, interviews, group meetings, and structured surveys such as rating scales or questionnaires. It's difficult to measure job satisfaction because there are so many different aspects of the job that to keep in mind. A person may be satisfied with some of the things they're expected to do on the job, but may be unhappy with the working conditions. Different employees may view the same job completely different, one person finding it easier or fairer than the other who finds it more difficult or unfair. Every employee is different, which is why it is very difficult to measure job satisfaction. So the article Effectiveness of Training in Organizations, a meta-analysis of design and evaluation features. They examined the training designs and evaluation studies to show the effectiveness of training in different organizations. Uh, it was an experimental study where the independent variable was reaction criteria. So, in order to prevent a person from going through what I went through with my first job, feeling completely overwhelmed and stressed out, like I didn't know what I was doing, how anyone might feel on their first job, there was be a couple things that I would do differently. First, I would inform the employee of everything they should expect while on the job instead of telling them as they go along. I would cover everything that was expected of them first so they would have somewhat an understanding of what to expect rather than just being completely blindsided or always like questioning themselves. My first week on the job, I worked 37 hours, and for a first job ever, I feel like that is a little much, especially since I didn't. So finally, job satisfaction is very difficult to measure because every employee is different and has different expectations of the job. One person may love their job and think everything is perfect, while another person feels completely opposite. It's very hard to measure, and it's very difficult because not all employees are honest and upfront with their managers, telling them what they need and what needs to be changed.